Happy Black Friday, everyone. I have just treated myself to a Kobo Libre Colour. I've been after an e-ink device that I can use as an ebook reader and notebook, and I've been looking around doing loads of internet searches, looking at YouTube reviews and comparing specs and prices. In an ideal world, I was thinking of a black and white Android e-ink device that was great for note-taking and could access the Kindle, Kobo and Libby apps. But all of the current devices with these specs are very expensive and difficult to source in the UK, and also a lot of them are too big to easily carry around. But anyway, after doing much research and toing and froing and looking at loads of reviews, I settled on the Kobo Libre Colour, basically because it is such a good price for what you get. I probably would have been happy with the black and white, but they don't seem to do a black and white version. Weird. I've just picked this up and it was on a special offer for Black Friday, so it had £20 off. And I also had a voucher for Argos because of Black Friday, so that gave me a little bit more off. And because I got it from Argos, I managed to use some Next points, which was even better. So let's see what's in the box. I've never done an unboxing before, so this is a novel experience. Hopefully I can do it on camera. So here it tells you that you need the Kobo Stylus 2, which wasn't as easy to get hold of in the Argos. You have to order it. But I'm going to see if I can get one of those as soon as possible, because the writing aspect is really what I'm interested in. So I will check back with you when I've picked up that. But obviously this is a black one. The box has a little bit of a dent, but I'm sure it's fine because the seal's still intact. And it looks like we've got the Kobo Libre in there with some instructions and a USB-C cable. So let's get it open. So excited. Here we are. Wow, it is so light. In fact, I'm sure that's way lighter than the Kindle I've got. So that's the power button, and it's nice and slightly has a slight pattern to it, so that's good because it will stop from slipping when I'm holding it. See, that's showing you the power button on the back, and these are the page turn buttons. And I'm guessing I'm going to have to go and plug it in. Let's have a quick look, see what else it comes with. A quick start guide and the usual safety descriptions. Press and hold the power button to start or turn off. If necessary, charge. Pair with the Kobo Stylus. It's made from recycled and ocean-bound plastic, which is another selling point for me, actually. The fact that they are trying to be a bit more environmentally conscious about their electrics. They also have put up on iFixit. They've basically made it so that you can actually repair it yourself, which is really nice. So if you ever need to replace batteries or anything. So there it is, it comes with a USB-C. So there's the charging cable, USB-C, and I believe it has also got Bluetooth, so you can connect headphones to it for audiobooks. And this has 32 gigabytes of storage, so that's probably 24,000 books, or to put it mildly, more than you could ever need. I went for the black one because I figured, you know, you can have your hands on it a lot, and I'll keep it from showing the marks as much, I would have thought. So let's actually just see if it does power on. Oh, it's got a light that comes on. So it probably needs charging. No, it's thinking about it. Right, choose our language. But I'm so excited, I'm going to go and play with it, and then I'll come back and tell you a bit more. So I've set my Kobo up. It was very easy to do, and I've had a play around with it, and I thought I'd come and give you my first thoughts and a quick overview And the best way I could think of doing this was by comparing it to a paper book and the Kindle that I own, which is an 8th gen. So I found The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is a copy that I got in the charity shop. I think it was 25p. I have read this. I read this when I was a kid and I loved it. This is just to show you as a comparison to what we're all used to. The feel of the paper and the colour of the paper. Obviously this is quite an old book, so it's slightly yellowed. And because this is such an old book and it's now out of print, it's available on Project Gutenberg. This is it on the 8th gen Kindle. This is it being awake. If it goes into sleep mode, however, you get a random advert for some other book when it's just sitting in sleep mode. This is the Kobo Colour, so it's got the colour screen. Obviously this isn't the best quality cover to show you because it is from the Project Gutenberg, but when it's asleep it uses the book cover. You can download this for free from the Kindle store because it's public domain, and this is the type that you get with that. I'll just quickly get to the beginning. So this is how I've got my Kindle set up. It doesn't have any backlights or anything, so you obviously need good lighting, daylight. It's got very clear e-ink. It's nice and bright. The white's bright in the background and the text's always very legible. Because I'm connected to the internet at the moment, I think I've got all these highlights showing up, which is basically highlights that other people have left, which can be quite distracting, but I think you can turn them off. But I haven't actually used this for a little while because I've had so many paper books to read. So the page turn is quite straightforward, so I'll just get a few pages in just so you can see what it looks like, and I shall compare to this. So if you look at the size of the original book I got, the Kindle is a little bit smaller, but this is quite a large format paperback book. It's not a standard size. So if we compare the Kobo to the original book, it's a little bit wider, but a bit shorter. And if we compare that to the size of the Kindle, you can see that the screen size is slightly wider and slightly longer, but the actual real estate is not massively different except for obviously where the page turn buttons are. Weight wise, even though the Kobo's a little bit bigger, I would say it's very, very close. And the 8th gen Kindle is the plastic one, so I'm guessing that the other Kindles, which have got more of a metal case, are probably a lot heavier. This is obviously quite dark at the moment because I've actually turned the lights off on the Kobo so I can do a direct comparison, because personally I find that reading with a backlight is not really the intention of an e-ink device. It should really be no lights at all and natural light as you would with a book. That causes the least eye strain. So if I page turn here, so this is obviously from Project Gutenberg, tells you all about that. And we shall get to, I haven't actually altered any of the fonts or anything. This is just how it comes from Project Gutenberg. Here we go. So I've actually set it up so that it's just got a very small display at the bottom to show you how far you are into the book, because I find by default it has like page number out of, and it just takes up so much real estate on the screen that it's not worth having. So let's go a couple of pages in so we can get it to compare. I'm just trying to see, yes, this one's about the same as this one. So if we do a side by side with the lights turned off, you can see that the Kobo is a little bit darker. Now this is because the Kobo has got the black and white e-ink screen, and then it's got an overlay of the colour e-ink screen that does dull it down slightly. But if you compare them, and compare them to a book as well, it's not a massive difference in sunlight. It's a little bit more difficult in electric light, depending on how good your electric light is to compare it with. And obviously it's a little bit darker than a Kindle. You can obviously, however, turn the brightness up slightly. If you go 10%, it's pretty much the same as the Kindle. But I say in good light, you could probably get away without having it on at all. But I think 10% would basically make it identical to the Kindle, and it wouldn't probably use your battery very much. But I will let you know in an update when I've actually used it for a lot longer and can give you information like that. So obviously you can choose the font and everything and the size. I think you can do it on here. You can just pinch to get to the size you want. So that would be small, that'd be tiny. And then you can see in the middle where you're pinching, it sort of shows you how big it's going to get. So you can get it pretty big. There. Obviously you'd never use it that big. So let's try and get it to about there. So as much as you want, you can change the font size. You can also, on the fonts, you can adjust the line spacing and the margins. At the moment, I'm obviously on Rakuten Serif, which is what I guess is the default-ish type for the Kobo. You can also choose the publisher default, which will be whatever Project Gutenberg used, which looks a little bit small to me. I quite like the Kobo. I think if you're reading novels, you're better to stick with one that is a serif, because I think it's actually been proven that it's easier to read books in serif than it is if you have it in sans, where there's no little things. It's actually more difficult to read. So I would recommend a serif. So I'm going to go Rakuten Serif. Yeah, I quite like that one. And let's have it just slightly bigger. Yeah, there we go. Now the good thing about the Kobo, if I go back, so if you click on the more, you have this thing called beta features, and in beta features it has a web browser. Now I wouldn't recommend using a web browser to try and watch YouTube or anything, because the refresh rate on this is not going to be anything like it would be on a proper tablet, and it's not really designed for that. But what you can do is you can go to your web browser and search for Project Gutenberg, but I've actually got it saved down here in my favourites. So I've gone to Project Gutenberg, which is the public domain books of books that are out of date, and I've searched for Secret Garden, and I've chosen the EPUB 3 for e-readers, including Kindle, and I've downloaded that, and it's downloaded it automatically to the device and put it into my library. So when I go to my books, here it is, The Secret Garden. So that's a really easy way to get Project Gutenberg books onto your Kobo without having to do it. Well, the other alternative is you go to Project Gutenberg on your PC or laptop or whatever device you use for searching the internet, and you download the books from there, and then you can sync them with your Kobo by just plugging it into your computer and copying the books across into the file system. But it's just really nice that they've got that browse feature, which means you can go to Project Gutenberg directly on your device, find the book you want and download it straight to your device without any other hassle, which is great. Obviously, the other ways of getting your books is by having a Kobo account. I think, like the Kindle, the Kobo also has its own subscription service. It's got, let me go back to the menu. More. So you have access to your Google Drive or Dropbox if you use those. That's another way you could get your books onto here if you've got books in either EPUB or Mobi formats, or if you've already got a load of Kobo books from somewhere else, like if you've had a Kobo before. The My Articles is because it's connected to, you can connect it to Pocket, which is where you can use your phone or tablet or your computer. You save things to your Pocket, and then if you link this with it, you'll be able to read them here as well. That's something I'm going to look into because that's quite a good idea. Also, you can borrow books from your public library with Overdrive. If you've set up a Libby account somewhere else, you do it in basically the same way. You go into the Overdrive, it asks you to put in your library card number and your PIN number that your library will have given you for your Libby or Overdrive account, and then that will link this to Libby and you can download books. I just downloaded the first one that was readily available just to test it worked. So you can borrow books from your library. Obviously, it depends on what your library offers. The downside with this, which what I was hoping it would work, is I think it's that Libby's decision or Overdrive's decision is that they no longer support magazines or audiobooks on the Kobo, which is a real shame because I was actually quite looking forward to reading a magazine on the Kobo as it's in colour. And it's also a bit fiddly trying to read a magazine on my phone. That's one thing that did upset me a little bit. But the fact that you can get library books on the Kobo is great because in the UK, the Kindle will not link with your library at all. Yeah, in the UK, you can't get any library books on your Kindle, only books that you can get from Amazon, although you can send PDFs to both. So here we can see this is my Overdrive. This is showing me what I can borrow. And then there's Kobo Plus. If you have a Kobo Plus account, you can click there to quickly get to your Kobo Plus books. Now, audiobooks, I believe that you can only access Kobo audiobooks. I guess if you have audiobook files that you've saved or from somewhere else, they will work, but I haven't tried that because, to be honest, if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'll have it on my phone because that's so much easier. And then if you go eBooks, I'm not sure what this one does. This one's just telling you, oh, this is its recommendations. So here, if you put a search in here, it will search the Kobo store. And you can obviously just buy them direct. It often has 99p offers, the same as Kindle does. But the good thing is, if you go home, it is basically showing you your books and the fact that you can borrow books from the library or have a Kobo Plus subscription. But it's not totally in your face that it's trying to get you to sell you things. And obviously, if you go My Books, all you're going to see is the books that you've loaded up. So I've just loaded a load from Project Gutenberg that I already had. This one I've just downloaded, and this is the one from the library. So if I show you the library, I have no idea what this library book is, to be honest. I just grabbed it to see how it looked. So you can see the formatting's pretty good. And it looks fine. Now, if I go back to my books, and let's go back to the Project Gutenberg one. As I say, if you were reading at night and you found this too dark, you can just swipe up the side and that will bring it up the light, and it goes very bright. So obviously once it's on full brightness, that's a lot brighter than the Kindle without a light. But probably not as good for your eyes, and the battery life won't be as good. So I tend to leave mine as low as possible. Also, what it has with the light is you can set it to tell it when your bedtime is, and it adjusts the light to look more natural. So it'll have more blue in the morning, and then as you go through the day, it changes to a more natural, so it goes yellow. So it's better for your eyes in the night, because blue light's not good for you before you go to bed. So it's quite nice to have it. It'll go more yellow light, but in which case you probably need to turn the brightness up a bit, probably up to about 20%, I would say. Oh no, it keeps jumping. Still getting the hang of the controls. Yeah, so I'd say about 20%, and then more of a yellow light. which is good. But as I say, majority of the time I think I'm probably going to have it pretty much off anyway. And you can set it to auto, so it will auto adjust to what it thinks is the best for your time of day and your brightness setting. I will see if I can do a page turn comparison for you. Might need to swap them around the other way though, so I can get my fingers on them easier. So with this Kindle, it's a swipe, and this one obviously has the buttons. So if you can see how quick that is, and this one is pretty quick too. In fact, I would say they are pretty much identical. I think you can also do it by swiping on this. Yes, you can. Okay, and now if I just go to a cover, right. So if I put the brightness right up, you can see how much the colour pops out. So it's actually got it's a lot more vivid colour than I was expecting, to be honest. I was expecting it to be really, really muted. But when you've got the brightness right up, it is actually quite a decent colour on it. I'm not sure if this is the best cover to show to illustrate that. Let's see how the Project Gutenberg one looks on full brightness. There we go. So that's the one that's from Project Gutenberg, so probably not the greatest scan in the world that they've added to the book. But yeah, as I can say, you can see the colours are actually a lot brighter than I was expecting. Also has a section called notepads, notebooks, which obviously I can't really go into detail because I'm waiting for my Kobo Stylus 2 to arrive. I think that'll be a couple of days, and then I will do an update and a more detailed review about using this for note taking, which I'm so excited about because that's really one of the reasons I got it. Even if you haven't got the stylus, you can still use the highlighting feature. So all you do is press on the bit you want, add the highlight, you can choose the colour. So they have like a yellow, like a normal, like you'd have a typical highlighter is obviously yellow. Let's do that. And obviously you can choose how far you want to do. You can have red. You can have blue. And you can have green. So you can see how you can start marking up your books by colour code. So you might say have plot elements in yellow, you might have things you don't like in red, you might have words you want, new words, in green. You can basically choose your own way of organising your highlights, which is excellent. So when you've chosen to highlight, you can, obviously it brings up a dictionary as well. You can add a note to your highlight and it will bring up the keyboard. This, oops. And the keyboard is pretty responsive. Save. And then when you click down here, I believe it is. Yeah, here I'll swipe up slightly. And if you click on that one, it shows you all of your annotations that you've done so far and what you've written with them. Once you get the stylus, you'll be able to write on the books as well. So obviously the fact that you can have colour highlights is great. It makes it feel more like you would with a real book. If you highlight in the Kindle, let's go somewhere where there isn't already highlights. It's very similar. I think you press and hold, and then it comes up with this, and then you drag it to highlight, and then you click highlight, and it just puts it obviously in a grey because that's the only choice it's got. And then you can add a note in the same way with the keyboard. And it puts a little note there, and I can't actually remember how you get to your notes. I guess it's this one here. Yeah, and then it shows you your highlights and where it is in the book, so it's very similar. Although I have to say the actual, I think if you press and hold, yeah, it takes a little while for the highlight to come up, and then you have to press again and choose whatever. Kindle does have this thing called X-ray where it looks at the book and tells you something about what you've highlighted. I'm not sure if that's in all the books or how it works because I don't really use it. I normally have it switched off. I forgot to switch it off today. So that's that one there. But if you saw on this one, the actual highlight is very easy and instant, and I think it's probably even quicker with the stylus. Yeah, so very quick and easy. And I believe if you pull down from the top, you can it shows you your recently opened things, so you could quickly skip to a different book that you've started reading. You can, obviously when you still there when you come back. So let's turn the brightness down and see how those highlights look without any light at all. They still, actually the colour, even without any of the lights on, the colour is still pretty good actually. You can distinguish it very easily and it's easy on the eyes, and I must say I'm actually really pleased with it. Very impressed. Let me know in the comments if you've got anything specific you'd like to know about the Kobo, and I can gather them together and address them in the next video that I do once I get the stylus, because that's what I'm so excited for. But as I say, I will still obviously be using my Kindle because I've had a Kindle a number of years. I started with a Kindle keyboard ages ago, and I had the Kindle keyboard until it cracked around the keyboard and broke, and that's when I got this one to replace it, this 8th gen. I've had this for years as well. It's done me proud. I'm pleased with it. It's got great battery life, but you are locked into the Amazon environment. It's not easy to get other books on it, or you can put PDFs on it, but the books that you have bought on it you can't put anywhere else other than the Kindle app, maybe on your phone, I'm not sure. So all of the books that you get on the Kindle, even the free ones, have DRM that stop you from transferring them to other devices, which I can understand why they've done it. Obviously they want to, they basically probably sell most of their Kindles at a loss because they know they're going to make the money back on selling you the books. So I can totally understand why they've done it, and don't have a problem with that. They do have a good range. But the main reason I got the Kobo Colour was because I wanted to have the notebook as well, and the Kindle Scribe is massive and very expensive, and you can't actually write on all the books. Whereas with the Kobo, as well as being colour, which makes it so much better for note-taking, you can write anywhere, apparently, so we'll find out. Yeah, and the fact that it links to Dropbox or your Google Drive will make it easy to get the notes on and off as well. When I get the stylus, I will obviously let you know in more detail. I would say so far I'm really pleased with it. It's light, it's nice to handle. You can have the light on or off depending on your mood or your lighting. It affects the colour of the light as well, so that's good on your eyes. You can get books from your library, you can get books from the Kobo store, and you can get books from Project Gutenberg easily. It's just a really nice device, and I'm really pleased with it so far. But as I say, most excited to find out about the stylus. So if you have anything you'd like to know about my use with it, or if there's something in specifically you'd like to see me do on it, let me know in the comments, and when I do my update video with the stylus, I will add it in the video. Okay, I'm going to go and read a book.